Very good morning to one and all. So today we are going to discuss about one more topic of cloud computing. Before that, I would like to introduce myself. Shikha Agarwal, Assistant Professor in IT Department of Garg Engineering College. So students, today we are going to talk about the next topic, that is a cloud architecture. So whenever we talk about the cloud architecture, we should be aware about what all the layers is being passed through so that we will get the better services. Better services in a way of client and server architectures. How that particular layers is being done so that we can provide the best and best services. When I'm talking about the services, we know that we are providing the three types of services: IaaS, PaaS and SaaS. Either we are talking about the infrastructure or a software or a platform. And onto all these things, every data is being passed through the virtualization layer, right? So due to which we should aware about the layered architecture. Now you can see the diagram. When I'm talking about this diagram, when we talk about the service layers, it is having a three types of service layers. When I'm talking about SaaS, software as a service, PaaS and IaaS. So into that case, just suppose for example, if I'm talking about SaaS, so we all are aware that it provides the applications or through the internet or the web browsers. Basically, it is being targeted to the end users. When I'm talking about the PaaS, it means we are getting the platform as a service, in which generally it is being offering a application-centric environment so that we can work on the central applications where we are targeting the software developers. Then when I'm talking about the IaaS, it means basically whenever the storage areas or the requirements is being related to the resources is being done by the customers, so we are providing onto their own demands, in which we are providing their infrastructure in the terms of either bandwidth, storage or other resources. Then after that, when talking about the virtualization, we all are aware, basically this is a layer which works for abstracting of a form technology away from the original environment, right? And in the last, we are having a physical layer. When I'm talking about the physical layer, it includes everything. Includes everything means whenever we are having a real hardware installation system, how the network is being created, how the software devices is being connected to the clouds and so on. So this is the basic layer. When I'm talking about the two things, the first is virtualization and the second is demand provisioning. Basically, these are the two terms which works in the cloud computing environment. These are the basic two principles onto which the cloud computing environment works. Basically, when I'm talking about the architecture, it is being hosted or it can be sliced into the four different layers. The first is physical layer. When I'm talking about the physical means the thing which is being applicable on the real world. So suppose when I'm talking about the physical layer, this particular comprise of the physical servers, network and any other aspects that is being managed and controlled physically. Whatever the things we are applicable, it is being existing in the real world. Then after that, these all are the devices or connectors through which we can create a one infrastructure. So after the physical layer, we are having an infrastructure layer. In the case of infrastructure layer, this particular includes the storage facilities, virtualization servers and networking. Basically, infrastructure as a service or IaaS is basically used to deliver the various types of services as per the hosted requirement in their own format. Whatever the end users demanding, we are providing into their own needs. So we can say whenever I'm talking about the infrastructure, it includes their hardware, networking, servers and so on. So that whenever we are providing into their own specific format, then that case consumers can enjoy access to scalable storage and they can compute the power as whenever they are needed. After that, we are going to talk about the next layer that is called as a platform layer. We all are aware that these layers, we are having a different operating system, different applications. So that particular is called as a platform. That particular platform is being required to develop and to deploy onto the individual's system as per their need. So in this layer, we are talking about the services, that is such as like operating system or applications related to the platforms which is being deployed and developed of applications so that we can run the cloud smoothly. After that, we are talking about the application layer. In the application layer, this is basically used for the end users interaction so that they can interact directly. Just for example, we are talking about a Gmail, Dropbox, Word documents. These all are the applications or the examples of application layer. Through that, they can easily configure onto their systems, onto their laptops or devices, and they can easily access it, the data, without concerning it how it is being established. So we are talking about the software as a service. Basically, configurability and scalability are the two key features of this layer. These layers allow the users to use the cloud computing services so that they can be optimally and achieve the kind of results they are looking for the system. Right? So these basically, we are talking about the layered architecture. It consists of 4 layers only. Now, when I'm talking about the cloud computing architecture, the one important architecture exists which was developed by the NIST organization and which is also called as a NIST cloud computing architecture. Basically, this particular architecture is this. In spite of dividing into that 4 layers, they have divided the complete architecture into the different ways, in which we are having a cloud consumers, auditors, cloud carriers, cloud brokers, and cloud providers, and so on. So basically, we are going to talk about one after another. So we can say there are the different actors which is being providing the different services. So that particular actors is being divided into the 5 categories. The one is called as a cloud consumers, cloud providers, cloud auditor, cloud broker, and the cloud carrier. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about all the 5 actors and what are their own functionalities and responsibilities. So first of all, we are going to talk about the cloud consumer. When we talk about the cloud consumer, the one who consumes the services, right? The one who uses the services, and from the one who provides us. So when we are talking about the cloud consumers, this is a person or an organization that maintains a business relationship with and the end users. Whatever the services they need, they are being provided by the cloud providers. Then after that, we are going to talk about the cloud providers. Basically, that is a person, entity, or an organization who is responsible for making our services available to the interested consumers or the interested parties. Then after that, we are having a cloud auditor. In the cloud auditor, the party that can conduct an independent assessment of the cloud services, information system operations, their performance, their security, how the cloud implementation is to be done. Then we are talking about the cloud auditor. Then we are having a cloud broker. In the case of cloud broker, an entity that manages the usage, performance, and the delivery of all the cloud services. How we need to negotiate the relationship between the cloud provider and the cloud consumer. In the terms of, not only in the terms of services, but also in the terms of pay-you-go model. Whatever you will pay for it. Then we are talking about the cloud carrier. This is basically an intermediary that provides the connectivity and transport all the services from the cloud providers to the consumers and vice versa. So these are the 5 actors which provides their own different manners. Now we will study it in detail about each and every actor, how they need to fulfill, how they need to generate their own relationship. First of all, we are going to talk about the cloud consumers. When we talk about the cloud consumers, basically these are the principal stakeholders those who are for the cloud servicing computing services. Basically, cloud consumers represents a person or an organization that maintains the business relationship with and uses the services from the cloud provider. How we are getting the services and how the consumers work? Basically, in that case, what happened? Whenever we need something, like I'm an end user, I'm a cloud consumer and I need some services. So into that case, what I will do, I will browse all the services catalog of different cloud providers that is related to the services as well as the payments. Everything, all the facilities, whatever the providers is being providing, as per my need, I will find out all the services from that catalog. Then after that, request to the appropriate service so that we can set up the service contracts with the different cloud providers. Once we agree with the contract, like you can say the cloud consumers need to sign the SLAs, service level agreements, which includes everything related to the technical performance requirements or everything related to the quality, security and failure of the performance. Everything is to be included into that contract. Then after that, what happens? Once they agreed, they have set up the service, a contract with the cloud provider, they can easily use the services, right? And the cloud consumers may be billed for that particular service, whatever it is being provisioned to it. They need to make the arrangement for the payments accordingly. So into that case, they have to do the payment for that particular policy. Remember one thing, the cloud consumer can freely choose a cloud provider with a better pricing and more favorable terms. Because when we are talking about the services, like if I'm also working as a consumer, so I will go to the different shops and I will request for it. So whosoever is providing me the best quality service, similarly in a less amount of service pay, so then we are expecting that I will get the better services. Sometimes it happens that there are the customers that expects the heavy usage or they might be not able to negotiate for the better contracts, right? So into that case, what happens? The contracts providers, they are providing you the more charges. The next we are going to talk about the cloud provider. See, now after the consumers, let's talk about who all are the cloud providers. Basically, the cloud provider, it can be a person, it can be an entity or an organization who is responsible for providing the services to the interested parties. Into that case, what happened? The cloud providers, they acquire and manage their computing infrastructure, that all the list of the services that they are providing onto their cloud software that provides the services. Now after that, they have to make the arrangements to deliver all those cloud services to their own cloud consumers through the network access, like in the form of either a software or as a platform. The cloud provider, what they will do, they will deploy and configure their maintains and updates their operations of the software applications onto their cloud infrastructure so that all those services is being provisioned as they expected from the service levels to their own consumers. So into that case, they can easily provide their list of services to their consumers. Now when I'm talking about the cloud provider, they are providing the service deployment, service orchestration, service management, security and privacy. See, when I'm talking about the cloud provider, remember one thing, whatever the things we are sharing with them, they need to maintain the security and privacy. So into that case, they are providing the complete list of the data, which shows that all these things is to be included. Then we are talking about the cloud auditor. Basically, the cloud auditor is that particular party or a team or an organization that can perform an independent examination of the cloud service controls with the intent to express their opinion through on. Their auditors, they are they can perform on a very conference so that we can go through the real or review the objective evidence. Basically, the cloud auditor can evaluate the services provided by the cloud provider in the terms of security controls, privacy, or other impact factors that is being created. Similarly, when I'm talking about the cloud auditor, they can help the federal agencies also to maintain their privacy laws so that they can easily gives an individual's privacy and gives them an assurance for the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the individual's personal information. So basically, we are talking about the three terms in the cloud auditor, which is also called as a CIA. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The next, we are going to talk about the brokers. As we all are about the term, what is a broker? The one who deals between the provider and the consumer, like a third person. So basically, the provider involves in the integration of all the cloud services can be too complex for the consumers to manage. Right? Suppose we are taking the n number of services from so and so provider. So the broker club all the services in which they are dealing with the consumers. The cloud consumer may request to the cloud services from a broker in spite of contacting with the cloud provider directly, right? In which they can talk or whatever the amounts they are doing it, they have to negotiate with the broker only, in spite of directly dealing with the cloud providers, right? When I'm talking about the cloud brokers, basically they are divided in the three categories. The first is service intermediation, service aggregation, and service arbitrage. First of all, we are going to talk about the service intermediation. When I'm using the word intermediation, basically the one responsibility service we can talk about is a service intermediation. Basically, intermediation means we can make the improvement for managing to access the cloud services, their identity management, their performance reporting, their security, and so on, in which the broker enhances to give services by improving some specific capabilities or providing the value-added services to their cloud consumers. Like, for example, they are providing the extra services. Like, if you take a package for this amount, we'll provide you this thing, and so on. Right? The second, we are talking about the services aggregation. When I'm talking about the service aggregation says that whenever we are taking the one or more new services into which the broker is responsible to combine or to integrate the multiple services together, in which they are providing the secure data movement between the consumer and the multiple cloud providers. Right? Just for example, if I'm taking the services from 5 cloud providers, so it is the responsibility of broker to take the services from all the 5 cloud providers, combine them, and makes a platform easy for the user or the consumer so that they can easily use the services. The next is service arbitration. Basically, when I'm talking about the service arbitration, it is somewhere similar to the service aggregation, except that the services are being aggregated, are not fixed. Service arbitration means the broker has a flexibility to choose the services from the multiple agencies and can use the credit score of the service to measure and select a best agency with the best score. Now, after that, we are going to talk about the cloud carrier. Cloud carrier means carrier, the one who carries a data, information. So it means I'm talking about the cloud carrier which plays an act of intermediary that provides the connectivity and transport all the cloud services between the two end users. Basically, cloud carriers can provide access to the consumers through their networks and telecommunication and other access devices. Just for example, they can access the data through the network access devices such as like laptop, computer, mobile phones, and so on. Right? So these are the 5 actors which we talk about the NIST architecture. So now you can see when I'm talking about this architecture, this particular architecture contains every parameters, but what we did, we have divided all the responsibilities of the layered architecture into 5 actors. Now, after that, we are going to talk about the 3 types of deployment ways: public, private, and hybrid clouds. Right? So, into that case, as we all are aware, these are the 3 types of cloud: public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Into these things, we are getting the different services, different ways. For example, if I'm talking about public, it's scalable, reliable, inexpensive, location independent, and so on. So, one after another, in this lecture, we will continue with the different types of cloud. First of all, we are going to talk about a public cloud. As we all are aware about the term public, which can be accessible by any customers over the internet, right? So, we can say a cloud platform that is being based on the standard cloud computing model, which offer the different services like resources or application storage to the customers over the internet, is called as a public cloud computing. The hardware resources in the public cloud, they all are being shared among the similar users, and they can be accessible publicly by any user over the internet. And most of the applications that are offered on the internet are a software as a service. Like you can use as a software, you can required for the software. Now, in this particular cloud is being good for the startups because they are providing the high level of security features, and similarly they can save their amount of their salary if they can opt the public cloud computing. There are the various advantages of the public cloud also. It offers a greater scalability. As per your need, you can scale up and scale down. So it offers a greater scalability. Similarly, if it is a publicly available, then obviously it is a great cost effective. Here you can easily save your money. It provides a better reliability because there is no single point of failure. Nobody will interrupt your services. One system fails, it will not make an impact for the rest of the environment. So then after that, we are having a service we are having different services which can be easily accessible through the public cloud from anywhere, any location through the internet by the connecting devices. And similarly, it is in location independent. The services that are available, whether it is the client is staying at any location, it can easily be accessible by the clients. Yes, when everything is to be in public, is on internet, so there are certain disadvantages. No control over the privacy and security. When everyone is having a right to access the data, then obviously there is no control for the security and privacy. Every data is being accessed openly. We cannot use for the sensitive applications or informations. When the organizations they are using for the sensitive data, they cannot access the public cloud. Lack of flexibility because they are being accessible by all the platforms on the platform provider, so their flexible is not there. No stringent protocol regarding the data management. Now let's talk about the private cloud computing. In the case of private cloud computing, private means personal, in which we are providing on a single organization. All the hardware and the resources is being provided to a particular organization. For example, the software companies, they are making their data secure. So then into that case, they're using the private cloud computing. In the case of private cloud, it can be either hosted within a company or it can be outsourced to their trusted and the reliable third-party vendors only. They provide a very high control over the privacy and security of all the resources. There are various advantages of using the private cloud, that it provides a better security and privacy in comparison to public cloud. It offers a more and more control over the system configuration as the company needs. It provides a greater reliability when it talks about the performance. And similarly, they can easily save their money and they can enhance the quality of services which is being offered by the clients. Right? Then after that, let's talk about the disadvantages. it is expensive when compared to the public cloud. It requires some IT expertise because in the case of private, we are creating our own infrastructure. So we require the technical persons also so that they can handle the data also. Now let's talk about the hybrid cloud. In the case of hybrid, basically some part is public, some private is private. So into that case, it uses the combination of both public and a private cloud. That makes a mixture of both the things. Some part is being available publicly so that everybody can access. Some part is non-transferable, that it cannot be handled by any individual. It can be handled only within the peoples who are authorized to access that data. Basically, the benefits of using this, it is scalable, it is cost efficient because we are dealing with both the things, like private bhi hai, public bhi hai. So it is somewhere cost efficient. It offers a better security and better flexibility. Now the disadvantage is infrastructure dependency. Because we need to create a hybrid cloud, so we are dependent onto the infrastructure. There is a possibility of security breach through the public clouds. Now into this you can check the table in which we are showing the difference between the public and the private clouds, public, private and hybrid cloud. First we are going to talk about the tenancy. In the case of tenancy, when I am talking about a private, single organization is organizing, so we are talking about a single tenancy. Public, it can be any number of tenants, everybody can access the data, multiple organizations can store their shared environment. And in the case of hybrid, it can be multi-tenant also, it can be a single source also. Exposed to the public? No. Private clouds can never be exposed to the public. It can be yes. In this case, some part which is being easily accessible is being exposed to the public, rest is being kept confidential. Now next we are talking about the data center location. In the case of private, everything is inside the organization. In the case of public, it is available on the internet, anybody can access and anybody can use. In the hybrid cloud, data center inside the organization for the public, for the private, and on the internet for the public access. Cloud service management, it's having their own management, own administrators who will access the data. In this, everything is to be managed, the services where the organization use them. In this case, it is being combined. Then after that, hardware components, when I'm talking about private, they have to buy their own physical servers. Public, we are the CSPs provide the complete hardware at all the times. And again, hybrid combination. When I'm talking about the expenses, it is quite expensive because they have to purchase their own hardware, own servers and so on. In the case of public, it is less expensive. And again, it is the combination of both. So by this, we have finished our lecture. Thank you.